Good morning, everybody. My name is Barry Schwartz, and this is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, March 4th, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com over the past week. A lot to discuss. Google Page Experience update for desktop has finished rolling out. Google Search Console URL inspection tool continues to have errors. The IndexNow has gained support, but is it really helping is the question. Google's local packs map is now interactive. Google has paused their ads across all of serving in Russia over the Ukraine situation, and much, much more. Of course, also I'd like to thank our sponsor. It's sponsored by Bruce Clay, one of the founding fathers of the SEO space. He's been doing search marketing since 1996. Bruce Clay is big into SEO training, so check them out at seotraining.com over there to learn more, and also check them out at bruceclay.com. Thank you so much, Bruce, for sponsoring. Okay, so first up, the Google Page Experience update for desktop has finished rolling out as of yesterday, March 3rd. It started on February 22nd. It was a 9-day rollout, and it now is complete. Again, this is for Google, the Page Experience update specifically for desktop. It closed all those things around Core Web Vitals, obviously not mobile friendliness, but everything else. We discussed it in great detail. And again, just to be short, I don't think this had any impact or any significant impact on 99.9999% of websites and any of the rankings in terms of Google's rankings at all. Glenn Gabe even shared some quick data showing how Core Web Vitals metrics went up or down and had no impact on the rankings at all over that time period with this update. Also, I posted this week the Google Webmaster report from March 2022. If you want to catch up on all the big stories that happened over the past month, definitely check that out. This week also, Google Search Console URL inspection tool has been having errors for a lot of people. Google confirmed those errors a few days ago. They said they would update us when it's fixed. It has not been fixed, although I haven't been having issues at all using the URL inspection tool, although I do believe, and I could be wrong, that the errors are coming specifically from the new URL inspection tool API, where a bunch of API developers are building stuff that are probably causing issues with the URL inspection tool and then thus having issues. So this is affecting both the API and the web interface for a lot of people. I haven't replicated it myself, but Google has confirmed it. Also this morning, we reported that remember that Google shopping merchant experience scorecards, where Google will say, if you are providing excellent customer service based on delivery time and all these types of return metrics and so forth, remember they would actually give you a boost in your shopping search results rankings. Well, we said, what if people fake it? And 2 weeks later or so, Alan Kent from Google said, Google has mechanisms to verify that data that merchants are sending are actually accurate. And if merchants fake it, then they will go ahead and be penalized in some way. So that was news this morning. Also, IndexNow over the past week or so has added a bunch of additional support from one of the major CMS players, Duda. Over 1 million sites or so, or about 1 million sites are using it. It's turned on by default. And 2 SEO plugins, all-in-one WordPress plugin and a Rank Math SEO plugin has added support. You have to toggle it on to activate it and so forth. But Yoast co-founder, Juice, who's been in the SEO industry forever, said he doesn't think that IndexNow leads to more traffic or even improves crawl efficiency. He said, in fact, he finds it to do the opposite. It's very interesting for him to say that. It was an interesting conversation. I know one of the primary reasons that Microsoft is backing this IndexNow protocol is because of crawl efficiency. And then when Juice said that, Fabrice Cannell from Microsoft said, let's remind all SEOs that the primary value of IndexNow is to quickly reflect latest content changes in search engines. Be index first. Fast in SEO is critical these days. IndexNow provides the most sites are a clear signal that we're committed to leverage it to crawl more efficiently. So he's not arguing with that. He's basically saying you should use it to index your stuff fast. And they are going to work to improve efficiency. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. There is some backstory. I know the two of them are talking behind the scenes. So it is interesting to see that come from Yoast. Google does not use, just a reminder, that they do not use the Disavow file to target link networks. They have other mechanisms to do that, John Mueller said. Using a Disavow file for like saying this site's bad and that site's bad is not something that Google has been using. Google uses other means for figuring out what are bad links. Google said that translated content could be an issue when you are using garbage parameters at the end of the URL. So if you're using like question mark equals language EN or whatever it might be for coming up with that. Google might say, if you're doing translated content, and Google sometimes think that, hey, these URLs are not different enough, the content on these pages are not different enough, so just keep that in mind. It's a very interesting conversation. If you're using translated content, you're having issues with being indexed with those pages, definitely take a look at that blog post that I wrote about a few days ago. Here's another PSA, blocking users in the USA, you should block Googlebot. If you're not, then it's considered cloaking and it's against Google's guidelines. You can block other countries, but the reason for that is because Googlebot crawls from the US right now, primarily. It doesn't mean Google's not going to crawl in the future from other countries, but right now Google only crawls from the US in 99.9% of the situations, and thus if you block users in the US, you got to block Googlebot. Google's also said that top stories, again, a reminder that top stories carousel, both on mobile and desktop, has no eligibility requirements to be in there. You used to have AMP, you used to require it to be an AMP. That's no longer the case with the page experience update rolled out. You don't even need a good page experience score to be in there, according to John Mueller. That is the way it works, and that's the way it's working going forward for at least the foreseeable future. Google's search local pack, the map, in that used to be a static map, and as of like the past week or so, Google's map is now interactive. So if you do a search for a local intent in search and a map comes up the top, it will now show you an interactive map, which you actually click on, drag around, zoom in, mouse over businesses and get reviews. Is pretty cool. And I wonder how that's going to actually impact any local search business. Google local panels also showing confirmed by phone, confirmed by business, confirmed by users in the actual local listing, which is pretty cool. I guess that's adding trust. Google business profiles may require additional verification. So if you verify using maybe video, Google might say, we actually have to send a postcard in addition because we have to double verify you for some reason. Again, it's maybe Google figuring out to say, hey, we really need to trust this. We're not sure if we could trust this, and so forth. Google is testing a search bar filter on options at the top right of the page. Here's a screenshot of that. And Google's testing removing the estimated number of search results, the about, this result, which shows the number of search results, which I don't mind if it goes, but a lot of SEOs use it for some reason, even though it's completely inaccurate, but whatever. Google's hosting an internal workshop, SEO workshop, through a partner of theirs, but they're having internal SEO experts speak on that workshop. It's a virtual workshop. I signed up for it. I think it's this week or so. There is some controversy around why Google's hosting and actually participating in a third-party partner program. I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal, but whatever. But Google is also hosting a Google Search Central virtual Unconference. It's going to be announced soon. It's going live later this month, so be prepared. Sometime later this month, Google's going to have their Unconference, which they hosted back in 2020, 2021, and now they're going to have one in 2022. It's primarily managed by Martin Splitt and Lizzie and other folks at Google. Greg Sterling released a poll asking, do you think Google Search will be dominant in 10 years from now? And most people said yes. The results were 61 and 62% said Google will still be dominant in the next 10 years. 13% Google will be replaced by somebody else in the next 10 years. And most people said they just cannot predict. So that's interesting from Greg. Google is temporarily pausing all ads serving in Russia over the war in Ukraine, the invasion by Russia in Ukraine. So if you are serving ads in Russia, they're actually paused right now. Not sure how long Google's going to pause it, but they announced last night that they're going to pause it, and I believe they have paused it going forward. And a bunch of SEOs, there's tons of SEOs in Ukraine, and we're praying for them. I think a lot of them have actually left, but one, and probably others, but I know one is definitely still there. Anton Shulke, he's in Kyiv right now in Ukraine, the capital. Here's a picture of him making bandages out of bedding. And it's just amazing what's going on there. Our prayers are with you. Be safe. I hope everybody's safe there. And I hope this conflict ends really, really soon. In any event, thank you so much for listening to the Search Buzz video recap. My name again is Barry Schwartz. This is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com over the past week. Be well, be safe. Speak to you later. And thank you, Bruce Clay. Check them out for sponsoring. Deeply, deeply appreciate it. Bye-bye.